Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are some would say or have said that the Karzai government is little more than a vertically integrated criminal enterprise because of the level of corruption. I wonder, and it doesn't seem like we've been successful in terms of combating that corruption. Unless anybody on the panel can tell me, I don't know of any aid that's been permanently withheld because of their practices. And so can somebody speak to how do we deal with this extraordinary level of corruption in our partner, the Afghan government?
I'm going to take very briefly. Our goal is, in theory, to increase funding to the Afghan government so it can steadily take over the remaining portion of aid. We have dealt with corruption in general by not funding through the Afghan government. So most of the aid money has gone directly around the central government structure. I think, in fairness, a lot of this has been our fault, a failure to really validate the contracts, measures of effectiveness, control the funds, something General McMaster's found in his studies. But your question is a key one. The Afghan government made commitments, very formal commitments, that it would change this process as part of transition. It is up to you to hold them accountable, because it is a fair statement to say that the Karzai government has never once honored an anti-corruption pledge to date.
And what didn't we, obviously I think we wanted to build up their institutions of governance, their capability by initially having the aid flow through the government, and then, but the corruption was so incredible, I think that we diverted that aid and tried to give it directly to whatever the intended recipient was. But you know, how do we, I mean, do we establish benchmarks to where if they fail to meet them that we do permanently withhold aid? I mean, I don't think the American taxpayers should be subjected to this level of corruption without end. Dr. Dale?
Sir, thanks for that terrific question. Absolutely, as you characterize, the way that power operates in Afghanistan is really on the basis of patronage networks of power and influence. And not all of those are malign, but some are. And they distribute resources unevenly, disenfranchise some, and do not operate in accordance with the rule of law. We've tried a number of things over the last 10 years, some more successful than others, but I'd like to answer your question by pointing ahead. The mutual accountability framework that came out of the Tokyo conference last year that includes a set of commitments, Afghan improvements in the arena of corruption, and international reactions that based on whether those are complied with is a terrific opportunity. What makes it tough is we've got to discipline ourselves in order to make that work. The other piece, and ultimately the most helpful one, are frankly the Afghan people. They're the best potential checks and balances on the Afghan system. Their voices have not been very visible through years of war, but that's civil society, it's the armed forces, it's the media, it's all of those organizations that can eventually be brought to bear to help hold their own system accountable. And that's another arena in which we can, with technical support and encouragement, encourage change.
Excuse me. But even if you look at the Tokyo Accords, there are not specific metrics yet that have been drafted to establish the kind of benchmarks I'm talking about that makes aid contingent upon the Afghanistan's government's ability to clean up this problem.
Yeah. So you point to a great point, which is how do you implement this? The idea is, look, it's a good foundation. It's a new step forward because everyone agreed there's a lot of money on the line, which Afghanistan is going to need some help over this decade of transformation in order to sustain the campaign gains and be stable. So they have equities in all of this. It's up to us as an international community to be very disciplined amongst ourselves in figuring out what accountability really looks like. That's hard, but it's not undoable.
Mr. Chairman, I believe fundamentally that we have to be willing to sever this aid is the only way I think we're going to clean up this situation for the American taxpayers and for the other donor countries that are involved with that. We deserve better. I yield back.